Welcome back to the deep dive. It's Monday, January 26th, 2026. I really hope you had a relaxing weekend because if you were unplugged for even just the last 48 hours, you missed a massive geopolitical
Oh,
shockwave.
absolutely. This is one of those headlines that makes you stop, put down your coffee, and just rethink everything.
And we're not talking about a trade tariff or some diplomatic spat. We are talking about the sudden, complete decapitation of the Chinese military leadership.
It really is that dramatic.
We're talking about General Zhang Youxia. I mean, until Saturday, he was arguably the second most powerful man in China. Definitely the most powerful man in uniform.
And now,
Now he's under investigation, he's being scrubbed from the internet, and he's facing allegations that sound like they were pulled from a spy thriller.
they really do. But the reporting we're looking at today, mostly from The Guardian, but also pulling in some crucial intel from the Wall Street Journal and defense analysts, it makes it very clear this is real.
And the implications are, frankly, terrifying. So our mission today is to get past that breaking news banner. We need to understand why Xi Jinping would purge his closest ally, what these explosive nuclear leak allegations really mean, and, whether the Chinese military is basically paralyzed right now.
Because when a nuclear superpower starts arresting its top generals, the rest of us really need to pay attention.
Let's dive in.
Okay, so the story breaks over the weekend. A sudden announcement from the Chinese Defense Ministry.
And they say General Zhang Youxia is being investigated for, and I'm quoting here, suspected serious violations of discipline and law.
Which is, as you know, the standard party euphemism for your career is over.
Right, but discipline violations can mean anything, right? Usually it's something like embezzlement or taking kickbacks.
Exactly. But the tone here was completely different. It was visceral. The military's own newspaper, the Liberation Army Daily, came out swinging immediately.
What did they say?
They didn't hold back. They accused Zhang and his chief of staff, Liu Zhengli, who also went down, of seriously betraying the trust of the party.
Betraying the trust. That's heavy language.
Oh, it is. They talked about fostering political and corruption problems.
Yeah.
But to really get why that word betrayal is so key, you have to understand who Zhang was to Xi Jinping.
He wasn't just another general. He was the vice chair of the CMC.
The Central Military Commission.
Yeah.
And it's worth a quick refresher on what that is because it is not the Pentagon.
No.
In the U.S., the military serves the Constitution. In China, the military serves the party. And the CMC is the body that enforces that control. It's everything. Budget, strategy, personnel.
Nuclear codes.
Everything. And Xi Jinping is the chairman, number one.
And Zhang Youxia was number two.
He was, the vice chairman. But their connection, it goes so much deeper than just an org chart. This wasn't just a boss and his deputy.
This is the whole princeling connection, right?
Yeah, exactly. Both of them are princelings, the sons of the revolutionary heroes who founded communist China. Their fathers served together in the 40s.
So there's a generational bond there.
A bond of blood and loyalty, supposedly.
Oh.
They grew up together. Zhang was, he was widely considered Xi's closest military ally.
Which makes the betrayal language so personal. It's like Caesar and Brutus.
It is.
Yeah.
But then we get to the part that has the entire intelligence community buzzing. Because the official line is discipline. But the Wall Street Journal is reporting something much, much darker.
Okay, so this is where it goes from a political drama to a full-blown national security crisis.
It really is. According to these reports, which are based on high-level internal briefings, Zhang isn't just accused of taking bribes. He is accused of leaking secrets about China's nuclear weapons program to the United States.
Let's just pause on that.
Yeah.
The second in command of the entire PLA, the man right next to Xi, is accused of handing nuclear secrets to their number one rival.
It sounds completely insane. And we should be careful. The Guardian points out they haven't independently verified the leak itself.
Right.
But the fact that Chinese officials are being briefed that this is the reason, that tells you the level of paranoia and crisis is just off the charts.
What kind of secrets are we talking about? Do we know? Are we talking launch codes?
The report suggests it's tied to the rocket force, which, is the branch that controls the nuclear missiles.
And their leadership was purged just last year.
Exactly. So if Zhang was leaking their technical capabilities, maybe launch protocols, or, and this is the critical part, the locations of their silos and mobile launchers, well, that effectively neutralizes China's entire strategic deterrent.
Because the whole point of a deterrent is the other side doesn't know where everything is.
It's a shell game. And if the U.S. knows where the missiles are and how they work, the threat is just massively diminished. If he gave that up, that's not corruption. That is high treason.
The reports also mention a bribery angle, something about a defense minister.
Yeah, that he allegedly took bribes to promote an officer to that post, which, again, shows you how transactional things are. But, I mean, compared to leaking nuclear secrets, bribery almost feels like a parking ticket.
It really does. I want to shift to the man himself for a second, though, because Zhang Youxia wasn't just some bureaucrat in a uniform. He was a bit of a legend in the PLA, wasn't he?
He's a complete rarity. In a military that's full of political appointees, desk generals, Zhang was a combat veteran. He'd actually seen a fight.
We're talking about the Sino-Vietnamese War back in 1979.
We are. It was a brutal, short conflict. It didn't go well for China. They took heavy casualties. Their logistics, their communications, everything was a mess.
But it went well for Zhang.
It went very well for him. He was on the front lines commanding troops. And then again in 1984, during more border clashes, state media loved him for it. There's this one famous headline, "These Chinese generals have killed the enemy on the battlefield."
Wow. Subtle.
Very. But it matters. Because he came out of that war as a survivor, and more importantly, as a modernizer. He saw how bad the PLA's tactics were, and he spent the next 40 years trying to fix it.
So he was the guy pushing for better tech, better training.
Real combat readiness.
Wow.
Which is exactly why Xi kept him around. I mean, Zhang is 75 years old. He should have retired years ago.
Oh, absolutely. The retirement rules in their system are usually ironclad.
But Xi made a huge exception for him, broke the rules. And that was a massive signal of trust. She was basically saying, I trust this man more than I trust the system.
And now the one guy he bent the rules for, the one guy who actually knew how to fight, is the one being arrested for betrayal. It's just, the irony is incredible.
It's staggering. And Zhang isn't an isolated case. If you zoom out, this isn't just a single arrest. It's a systemic purge, a decimation, really.
It's decimation. Okay, so connect the dots for us.
Xi's anti-corruption drive has been going on since 2012. But starting in 2023, the laser focus turned to the military.
We mentioned the rocket force getting gutted.
Right. Then the defense minister, Li Shangfu, just vanished.
Yeah.
Then in October of last year, just a few months ago, 8 more top generals were expelled. And one of them was a man named He Wedong.
And He Wedong was the other vice chair of the CMC.
Exactly. So the CMC has 2 vice chairs. One was fired in October. The other was fired this weekend.
Let's just visualize that.
Yeah.
Imagine the boardroom table for this nuclear superpower. How many people were appointed to run the military, and how many are still standing?
Okay, so at the 20th Party Congress in 2022, 7 men were put on that commission.
7.
And today,
As of this morning, only 2 of those 7 have survived without being investigated or purged.
2 out of 7. That's a 70% attrition rate?
Over 70%.
Who are the 2 survivors?
One is Xi Jinping, obviously. The other is a man named Zhang Shengmin.
And his job?
He's the head of the Discipline Inspection Commission.
So he's the anti-graft cop.
He's the guy doing the investigating.
So the only people left at the table are the king and the executioner. That is a perfect way to put it. Everyone else, the war hero, the chief of staff, the operations guys, they're all gone.
This just flies in the face of the whole narrative of Xi as this master strategist with total control. If you hire a team and then have to fire almost all of them for treason 3 years later, that looks like terrible judgment.
That's exactly what the analyst Lyle Goldstein argues. He says it reflects incredibly poor judgment. It just screams instability. It suggests either Xi is terrible at picking people or the entire system is so corrupt that anyone he picks is doomed to fail.
So let's get to the so what here. For you listening, does this actually make the Chinese military weaker, or is this just political theater at the COP?
Well, that's the big debate right now.
Yeah.
You've got scholars like James Char who say, look, the machine keeps running. The PLA has millions of soldiers, daily patrols, basic training. That stuff doesn't stop because a general gets arrested.
The ship sails on.
To an extent. But, and this is a huge but, Xi has these massive goals. Modernization by 2035. A world-class military by 2049. That means buying new missiles, developing AI, signing billion-dollar contracts.
And who is going to sign off on those contracts now?
Nobody wants to.
Yeah.
That's the problem. This purge has created a culture of paralysis. If you're a mid-level official and you see the vice chair arrested for corruption, linked to promotions and contracts.
You're not going to stick your neck out. No way. You do nothing. You wait.
Exactly. We're already seeing reports that procurement is slowing. Defense firms' revenues are dropping. Everyone is terrified of making a mistake.
Yeah.
So the very modernization that Zhang was supposed to lead is stalling because of fear.
Paralysis by fear. Okay, that makes sense internally. But externally, when you look at Taiwan, the rhetoric hasn't softened at all.
No, it's a fascinating split screen.
Yeah.
Internally, total chaos. Externally, they are flexing harder than ever. Late last year, we saw the largest military exercises they've ever staged around Taiwan.
It almost feels like they're overcompensating. Don't look at the chaos in Beijing. Look at our big navy.
It could be, but Western observers are asking a really critical question. Is this military actually ready to fight a war?
Hmm.
I mean, modern warfare is built on trust. You have to trust the chain of command. If the top generals are being hauled away for leaking secrets to the enemy, that trust just evaporates.
Right. You're a battalion commander. Do you trust the orders coming down from the top? Or do you wonder if the guy giving them is about to be arrested too?
Precisely. And in the heat of an actual battle, like a complex assault on Taiwan that could involve the U.S., that kind of friction, that hesitation, could be fatal.
It really dismantles that idea of the PLA as this, unstoppable monolith. This deep dive shows a system that's kind of eating itself alive.
It shows that these authoritarian regimes are often much more brittle than they appear on the surface. They project this immense strength, but when trust breaks down at the very top, the whole structure gets shaky.
So we're left with this paradox of a leader, Xi Jinping, who demands total control but has systematically removed the very people with the experience to exercise it.
Which brings us to the final, and frankly, the scariest part of this whole puzzle. A paranoid superpower is not necessarily a cautious one.
And that is the thought I want to leave you with today. We assume that because China is in turmoil internally, they'll pull back.
Right, that they'll be too busy arresting each other to start a war.
But history is full of examples of leaders under pressure who lash out externally to prove their strength, to create unity.
It's the classic diversionary war theory. If Xi feels he can't trust anyone, does he become more cautious? Or does he feel the need to start a conflict just to enforce loyalty? Does he need a war to purify the ranks?
If his safest bet, the 75-year-old war hero, the family friend, turned out to be a traitor, then who is left to trust? Nobody. And a cornered leader is a very dangerous thing.
We will be watching this very, very closely, because a PLA that's backed into a corner by its own leadership is maybe the biggest variable in global security right now.
It really puts the headlines in perspective. This isn't just bureaucratic shuffling. This is the heart of the dragon beating irregularly. That's it for this deep dive into the fall of General Zhang Youxia, a spy thriller playing out in real time with the fate of global peace hanging in the balance. Thanks for listening. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll catch you on the next one.